Hello, this is Bill Bullard with R-CALF USA, the voice of the independent cattle producer in the United States of America. Well, to all our listeners, have a happy and blessed New Year. R-CALF USA grew with 722 new members from across the United States in 2019. We start the new year with just under 5,300 members in 42 states. That makes R-CALF USA by far the largest producer-only trade association that lobbies for and represents America's independent cattle farmers and ranchers. Despite this distinction, we must continue to grow our membership with the goal of reaching 10,000 voluntary members in the United States. At this size, our influence in all three branches of government will grow exponentially, and we will accomplish our four-pronged goal in 2020 of number 1, fixing our broken markets, number 2, restoring mandatory country of origin labeling for beef, number 3, putting an end to the USDA multinational partnerships like the EarTag Company and USDA partnership that tried in 2019 to unlawfully force producers to use RFID ear tags just for the privilege of selling adult cattle across state lines. And number 4, putting an end to the government-mandated tax known as the Mandatory Beef Checkoff Program that now funds organizations that have brought all of the first 3 problems to bear upon America's independent cattlemen and women. During last week's segment, we discussed R-CALF USA's submission regarding the new government multinational corporate policy being pushed by the Food and Drug Administration, which is seeking an industry-wide ban on over-the-counter sales of important antibiotics that responsible cattle producers need and use to quickly and effectively prevent the all-too-common cattle diseases such as pink eye, foot rot, and pneumonia from affecting their entire herds. Not only could this ban delay the timely administration of needed antibiotics to prevent a herd-wide problem, but also it will competitively disadvantage American cattle producers because Mexican and Canadian cattle, which have unlimited access to the U.S. market, will not be subject to this ban while being raised on foreign soil. We know this is the case because those foreign cattle are not now subject to FDA's previous veterinary feed directive, which requires U.S. cattle producers to obtain a veterinary authorization before any antibiotics are fed to livestock. Now, this begs a fundamental question. Why do we not require imported beef and cattle to meet the same higher cost production standards that U.S. cattle producers adhere to? So now let's run down the status of the important initiatives that R-CALF USA pursued in 2019 through our third branch of government, the U.S. judicial system, and that we will continue to pursue in 2020. First, our historic national class action antitrust lawsuit against the 4 major meat packers is now in the motion to dismiss phase of the lawsuit. The briefing for this phase will be completed by mid-January, and a hearing may be held early in the year. If R-CALF USA prevails in this case, then it will move on to the discovery phase that will likely last for most, if not all, of the 2020 year. Second, our lawsuit filed in October effectively halted the U.S. Department of Agriculture's mandate that all producers transporting adult cattle in interstate commerce must incur the cost and burden of registering their premises with the federal government and affixing radio frequency identification ear tags by January 1 of 2023. The lawsuit is still pending before the Federal District Court in Wyoming. R-CALF USA is currently in negotiations to end this case in a manner that respects the rights and privileges of America's cattle producers. Third, our ongoing beef checkoff lawsuit, in which the court has already ruled that it is unconstitutional for the government to compel citizens to subsidize private speech of private corporations. It's now been expanded to include 15 states, and all the briefing for the case has been completed. So we are now awaiting the findings and recommendations from the magistrate judge, who could issue a decision at any time. What's left to achieve our four-pronged goal is to fully restore mandatory country of origin labeling for beef, so America's cattle producers are no longer forced to compete in the global marketplace with their hands tied behind their backs. They produce their beef under the most stringent production and health and safety standards in the world, and they deserve to have their superior product distinguished in the marketplace from the ever-increasing volumes of cheaper, undifferentiated beef that enters the United States from well over 20 countries. To this end, we encourage everyone to contact both of their U.S. senators with this important message. Do not allow the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement to pass the U.S. Senate until mandatory country of origin labeling is fully restored for beef. If you want to support our efforts, we urge you to join with us to help improve the profitability of the U.S. cattle producer. Thank you and Happy New Year.